Good morning, students. So today's second lecture is Living Anatomy of Head and Neck, and I am Dr. Madhavi Kevli, MBBS MD Anatomy. So let's begin with the lecture. So now here, uh, this is a very vast and very interesting topic. It is basically the revision of all the head, neck, and face chapters that you have studied. So you need to revise everything, and once you finish understanding the osteology, the muscles, the arteries, the nerves, how to check the nerves, what is the function of the muscles, which muscle is supplied by which nerve, skin innervations, everything. Once you understand everything, you are then give a just a reading to the first chapter of your anatomy textbook, head and neck part, that will be the living and surface anatomy. So basically what we see in this photo, here we see the, so when we start to study the living anatomy of head and neck, first we have to divide the whole region into parts. So the all the parts, all the head and neck is divided into regions. So let's see which regions are here. So you already know this one is having a lateral aspect of the head and the face and the neck. So here you can see the very prominent. Let me orient you first. What we already know. We already know upper limb. We already know the thorax. So here you see this bone, this bone, this bone. What is this? This is our favorite clavicle. You see this clavicle, and this is what? This is the starting. Here you see this muscle, very prominent muscle. This is the sternocleidomastoid muscle, basically the anterior margin of it. Yes, you see these this muscle, just a subcutaneous muscle over the neck. This is the platysma muscle. Now let's see, you see this very prominent, which bone this is? This is the mandible. So this is the mandible, this is the ear of the person, this is the head, this is the forehead of the person. So let's divide this into regions. This is the frontal region. Everything above the eyebrows is the frontal region. Second one here, you'll find all the regions here. So you can see the parietal region, the occipital region, yes, then the temporal region here. This one is the temporal region, very important. Burr hole is made in this region. Burr hole, you need to know, the neurologist, if there is increased cranial pressure because of some fluid inside, or there is a bleeding inside, then after some accident, then they will have to remove and release the pressure. So how they release the pressure? By making a burr hole in this region at a very specific point. So that we will learn in subsequent slides. Now here you see the zygomatic region, then you see the nasal region, oral region. So like that, all the regions you need to see, and what lies beneath which region. Now let's see. So I said that there is a specific point in the temporal region where you have to make a burr hole. So that is the point where all the sutures of and adjacent bones of the skull are meeting. So this is the pterion. So in the pterion is the place where you can make a burr hole. If that is not possible, it depends on the neurologist where he wants to get the approach of which part of the brain. So this is the asterion, where which bones are meeting you should know from your osteology. So pterion, this is the asterion, and you see on the temporal, this is the temporal line. Now just revise your bones. Then this is the mental protuberance, this is the zygomatic arch. Yes, or read all the specific names like pterion, asterion, you must read. This is the mastoid process. This is the ear, this is the place of the ear. Yes, here is the external auditory meatus. This is the mastoid process, right? And this just in front of the ear, this point is very important, students. Kindly pay attention. We will be using this for palpation of the pulse of one specific artery, and also we keep our fingers here for the palpation of the this head of the mandible, which is lying in the temporomandibular joint. So this is the head of the mandible, this is the temporomandibular joint. Yes, only synovial joint that is present in the face region. So temporomandibular, they will ask the function, if it is functioning properly, the patient has to be asked to open the mouth, close the mouth, and also to take the this mandible in front. So protrusion of the mandible, retraction of the mandible. So let's see ahead. So what can be the questions? The questions will be depending on the, they may ask you, show me glabella. So what is the glabella? This is the point where women put a bindi. So this point between the two eyebrows, this is the glabella. So they will, these are the eyebrows. So then you should know the, also the parts. So like this is the ala of the nose. This is the apex of the nose. This is the nares. So you should know which is the oral cavity. So this is the upper lip. Yes, this is the philtrum. So these are the cheeks. So like that, surface anatomy of the face. Please study this picture taken from the references from the Moore's Clinical Anatomy. So Moore's Clinical Anatomy having good pictures. So you can study that book for this chapter. Don't study the whole thing, just the images you can study. Then this image has been taken from the Vishram Singh textbook. So here you can see the ear. So lateral view of the ear. So now this is very important to understand. This is the lobe. This is the ear auricle. This is the auricle. This is the lobe. Yes. So now here this part, the fleshy part in front of the ear, this one here, this is called the tragus. Yes, and in front of this tragus is a very important point where there is a pulsation of a specific artery. So remember this point. Then these are the this is the pinna. So here is the Darwin's tubercle. Yes, this is the crus. This is the crus. So all the important things, this is the triangular fossa. So like that, simple things you should know. Now here you can see the subcutaneous muscle, platysma muscle. When you look upwards and clench your teeth, then you can see this pattern. Yes, this will need a more of a demonstration, so to understand. So just right now just see that this is the platysma muscle, which is very subcutaneous muscle of the neck. Now during the lessons that we have learned already, I had told you that the muscles of facial expression, only what they do is important. Origin and insertion are not that important. So here you can see they can ask you which muscle is responsible for which, like risorius is responsible for smiling. Yes, which muscle is, at least you should know the smiling and frowning muscle. So risorius is responsible for smiling. Yes, the forehead can be moved up and down with the fronto-occipital belly of fronto-occipital aponeurosis. So like that, epicranial aponeurosis is connected there. So you can study these simple things from this picture. Just read the which movement is this and which muscle. That's it. That's all you need to know for living anatomy. Then here, for example, here you can see the orbital and palpebral part of orbicularis oculi. This is the orbicularis oculi. So you can furrow, this furrow is formed in the movement of the eyelid. Yes, this part of the eye, orbicularis oculi. Now from the face you can tell so many things. When you observe the anterior surface from the of the face, here you can say if there is the drooping of the corner of the mouth, smoothing of the forehead on one side, and drooping of the eyebrow, this is what is this? This is Bell's palsy. So this is Bell's palsy, which means which nerve is affected? Facial nerve. So in this side you can see the forehead is having the lines which are usually present. In this side the lip is in place, but this side it is drooping. Yes, this is the Bell's palsy on unilateral side. So please study facial nerve is very important. So they can ask you the palpation of certain arteries, like in here you can see that he is trying to palpate the common carotid artery. So you should know, you should revise the which vertebral level lies what. Yes, cricoid cartilage lies at what vertebral level? Thyroid cartilage we have already discussed in the lecture of the larynx. So go through that lecture, see at what vertebral level what lies, and according to that you have to palpate just in the anterior aspect of the sternocleidomastoid. You can just above the level of the thyroid cartilage is the place where you have to put your finger and palpate the common carotid artery. Yes, this needs a demonstration, but try to understand the place right now. Try to find your own common carotid artery. So in this picture, you can see the palpation of two important arteries. Here you see this marked by this hand. This is taken from the Surface and Living Anatomy by Jordan Jocelyn, and it's a book from Elsevier 2002 year. So in this, you can see the superficial temporal artery. This is the superficial temporal artery, and it is palpated this part of the ear, like I told you in previous slide. This is the tragus, and in front of the tragus, over the zygomatic arch, you can feel the zygomatic arch and find it out where the zygomatic arch is meeting here, and here you feel this superficial temporal artery. Superficial temporal artery, palpation of superficial temporal artery can be asked. And then the second one, important one, facial artery, this one here. So where it will be palpated, against the antero-inferior, this is the antero-inferior border of the masseter, this is the masseter muscle. So against the antero-inferior border of this muscle, in front of that border of this masseter muscle, against the, so we have to have a bone below it to palpate. So against which bone? Against the bony surface of the mandible. This is the mandible here. So here you find the this artery about 1.5 to 2 inches away from the angle of the mandible. You will find the place of the facial artery. So this can be asked to palpate in living anatomy of head and neck. Facial artery, and again telling you, this is the superficial temporal artery, and we have seen the common carotid artery at which level? Above the thyroid cartilage, that is above the level of thyroid cartilage lies at C4 level, and common carotid artery pulse will be lying at the C6 level. So C6 level of cervical vertebra 6 is very important theoretically. Go through that part in your textbook. Now here they can ask you the distribution of facial nerve, terminal branches of facial nerve. So this picture is self-explanatory. So you can see the branches, temporal, zygomatic, yes, all the branches here. So go through this. This you have to face the, you have to place the hand like this, and you can see all the branches. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 branches. So go through this picture. Try to do this on yourself and your friend, and understand the branches of cranial nerve 7. So again telling, facial nerve is very important. Now I have already taken the lecture on tongue, and I have explained the problems with hypoglossal nerve palsy. So you see, if this tongue is going deviating towards the left, then which side, sorry, in the right of the patient. So it is the right of the patient and my left. So in the right of the patient, then which side nerve is affected here, you should be able to tell. It's the tongue deviation towards the right, then hypoglossal nerve is injured. Which side, you will tell me. So here you see the pathway of the hypoglossal nerve already taught in the tongue and hypoglossal chapter, and this is the deviation towards the affected side. Now another thing that they can ask you is the palpation of, at least you should know the places of the lymph nodes in the cervical area. These are very important, and this is how the palpation of the submandibular lymph nodes is being done. In this picture also you can see the facial features of this person, and also you can see Adam's apple. This is the Adam's apple. Now, I have already discussed this in the larynx chapter. This is the Heimlich maneuver, in which you have to stand behind the patient who is having something stuck in the. You have to first make sure that there is some food or some bolus stuck in the larynx of that person. Yes, and then you stand behind and apply force. Yes, sub in the subdiaphragmatic area. So below the this thorax over the anterior part of the abdomen. You hold your hands very firmly and you apply pressure 1 2 3 times, and then hopefully the if your technique is correct, the bolus will fall out and the person will be able to breathe and you will save the patient. So this is the Heimlich maneuver. Thank you very much.